What's up, you guys? Good morning. Happy Sunday. Matt Jablonski here with The Point of Change. I'm going to wait for some people to get here and watch this live. If you're not watching live, drop me a hashtag replay and still hang out with me. We got some awesome stuff to cover today. Just a reminder for you guys that today at 6 p.m. Central, Chanda Lynn will be here to share her story of addiction, recovery, and her poetry, her music, and what she's doing nowadays in her life as we continue the Music of Recovery Month right here on The Point of Change. Hey, we got some people coming in. Give me some likes, give me some loves, give me a share out into any addiction groups you may be a part of or onto your own page if you wish. Tammy Brooks, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, guys. Who we got here? We got Linzer, good morning. Sheena, good morning. Brandy, good morning. Thank you guys for joining me. Dana Moore, good to see you. Awesome to have you here this morning. Brendan Clarkin is here too. Right on, my brother. How you doing? Susan Fuhrer, good morning. I got my phone set up next to me here so I can see the likes and the loves that you guys throw me because StreamYard doesn't show me that stuff. So today, guys, it is Sunday. It is the day of our Lord, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my higher power of my understanding, who I choose to call God and Jesus. We're going to read a little bit of the Bible. If you're not into that kind of thing, of course, you're welcome to, audit and hang out and maybe catch a little bit of the word and get a good message out of me. If you're totally against that kind of thing, hey, all the power to you in the world. I hope you choose a higher power that you understand. You don't have to hang out, but I'd like it if you do chill out with me for a while and get a good message out of me. Brendan says, getting through it. Right on, brother. Sometimes it's rough, ain't it? That's good. Good. I hope you get a good message out of this. Lori and I are here, bud. Hey, the Mutimers. How are you? Good morning, Matt and everyone. Katie Sue Raven, happy Sunday. How are you? Good to see you this morning. Pam Valesner. Pam is everywhere. I love Pam. Belinda, how are you? Good to see you this morning. Thank you for stopping by. Michelle, good morning. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to let some more people get here. We'll let this build up a little bit. How are you guys doing? Anybody got something awesome going on this weekend? What you guys up to? Next weekend, I'm going up to Toma, Wisconsin for a summer picnic get-together with the guys from Sober Eyes. They invited me up there. So me, Caitlin, and the doggos are going for a little road trip up to Toma to hang out. We're going to bring a dish to pass, and we're going to go get some recovery. Susan McIntosh, good morning. TC with one day at a time. Right on, TC. Ryder, good morning. Good morning. Anybody got any recovery dates? Any good recovery time you're celebrating today? Of course, throw it up in the comments. I would love to give you a shout out. TC, happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday, TC. Thank you for being here. Good to see you. Love seeing these people showing up and showing out. Brett Elaine, good morning. Rhonda Calls, good morning. Collis. Brian O'Brien, how you doing, my brother? Good to see you out there watching. Oh, Brett Elaine, like the new camera. You can tell how small you really are. Oh, man, is that a true thing? Is that real? Oh, I don't need anything that makes me look smaller, guys. Dang it. Couldn't you have said something nice, like how nice my eyes look in this nice new lens? Or, oh, man. All right, ending this video. No, I'm just kidding. I'm still here. Thank you, Brett, for letting everyone know that this camera is much more accurate to my actual size, guys. I'm like on my normal camera on my phone, it's kind of like, how when you get a box of cereal, it says enlarged to show texture. That's what's going on. All right, guys, I'm actually really small. I'm 5'4", 135 pounds. I'm really tiny. There's a lot of good messages packed into this tiny little package, I'll tell you that. Ryder with 8 months and 9 days. Congratulations, Ryder. Josh and Lori with 2/6/2020. I love that, brother. Brandy, November 9th, 2017. Pushing through that recovery. I love it. Ryder with 12/1/19. Sheena, 7/2/18. Awesome. Throw some hearts up for that recovery time, guys. That is awesome to see. Susan, 10/22/19. Creeping up on 10 months. Hell yes, Susan. Congratulations on what you got now, and keep pushing till you get that 10 months, that 1 year, that 2 years. A reminder to all of you guys out there, this is something that I've had to keep reminding myself lately a lot, is that this addiction is a chronic relapsing brain disease, okay? And just like any other chronic relapsing brain disease, it goes through times of remission and times of progression. You know what I mean? So even if you're 3, 5, 10 years along, your disease can have moments where it starts to creep up. All of a sudden you start having using thoughts again that you haven't had in years. All of a sudden you start having flashbacks again that you haven't had in years. Using dreams start coming back. Things like that this disease fluctuates, guys. We go through times where days are just easy and they just fly right by, and then we go through times where time just drags and this disease really kicks our butt. Maybe you notice it and you're drinking way too much coffee lately. You're drinking too much soda lately. You're smoking way more cigarettes than you normally do. Just keep an eye on those little things, guys, because that's little stuff that's going on in our brains, Tom, good morning. 3 years on August 1st. Right on, brother. That is awesome. Pam dropping the bomb with 2,572 days in recovery. Woo! Congratulations, Pam. I love seeing that. Guys, throw up some hearts for Pam. Pam deserves hearts all the time. Michelle, 22 years of marriage yesterday. Oof. Now there's another thing we could go with. One day at a time. It gets easier. Keep pushing, dear. Keep pushing. 22 years of marriage is no small feat. I can't even imagine the hell that you've gone through to get this far. That is awesome. Keep going. Keep going. I know sometimes there's laundry on the floor right next to the basket. The frickin' toilet paper rolls on backwards. There's frickin' toothpaste still in the sink when you get there, shaving, all the shaving stuff that us men do and leave our little fur everywhere all over your pretty sink. Oh man, you pushed through some stuff to stay married for 22 years, I tell ya. Brandy, I have had using dreams, but not for a while, thank goodness. Right on, Brandy. I haven't had one in a long time, but I told on myself earlier this week that I had recently had a using thought, and I have been smoking way more cigarettes than I normally do lately. So I think that's what's going on with me, is I'm kind of having a time of my disease is, rattling the cage a little bit. He's getting a little loud in there. We're over 3.5 years, so he's shaking the cage a little bit. So I'm holding my recovery close, holding my God close to me, reminding myself why I'm in recovery, why I keep doing this every day, just continually reminding myself why I do this. And today we got an awesome topic for you guys. If you guys like a little Bible reading or you like my way of breaking things down, then stick around because we're going to do plenty of that this morning. Joe Amy, oh no, not the hair in the sink. Right. What do we do in there? What do we do in there, right? What do men do? I don't understand. Michael McNeil. Hey, Maddie and everyone. Hope all is well. Much love and blessings from Atlantic, Canada. Right on, Michael. Oh my God, the message at church was walking on water, says Joy. Oh man, that's synchronicity lining up there. That is awesome. That was my message at church this morning, was walking on water. And the pastor even said that, if any of you want to make a video or do anything like that about, walking on water, I definitely recommend doing it. So here I am continuing that message. Joanie, I usually have dreams if I run into someone using, but they have faded for the most part. Right on. Josh and Lori, it's weird you say that this morning, Matt. I had a bad dream last night and I used and it hurt, man. Scared the shit out of me, and I almost wrote you and asked you what it means. Right on, brother. Them using dreams still come around, brother. They will come around. And I haven't had one in a long time. And honestly, the last time I had one, people were using drugs in my dream, and I turned down the drugs in the dream. So I was really proud of Dream Me for making the right choice. Even in my dreams, he made the right choice. That was pretty cool. But sometimes those things creep back up on us, guys. I know we conquer these things in early recovery and we get through them, and then you got you get some years under your belt of clean time and you're like, sweet, the using dreams have slowed down. I haven't been having as many flashbacks. I'm not thinking about it as often. This is cool. And then all of a sudden, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, a year later, all of a sudden you have another using dream, or them thoughts start cropping back up and you're like, what the hell? I thought I conquered this part. This part's supposed to be over. But you guys got to remember, this is a lifelong battle. We are living with a chronic relapsing brain disease. You know what I mean? So this stuff goes in fluctuations. Sometimes it gets harder to handle. Sometimes it gets less, and the same things with depression and anxiety and all these underlying mental illnesses we have. Sometimes they get loud. Sometimes they get quiet. You know what I mean? Let's see, Rachel, I guess the sink hair can't be worse than the tub hair. Ugh. Either way. Bretta Lane, I still get them. Not so much using, but the sound of ice crushing throws my whole day off when that happens. Oh yeah, little triggers popping up, you know, and it's amazing to me how triggers kind of morph over time. Like something that used to trigger you doesn't quite trigger you anymore, and you know, and then things that never did trigger you before all of a sudden are becoming a trigger. Like it's interesting how complex addiction really is, you know. Michelle, the devil doesn't give up trying to get you back on his team. Damn right. Sometimes he just walks away and lets time build, waits for you to show a moment of weakness or something like that, and then he comes back and attacks you. So guys, let's bust into this beautiful book that I have in front of me right here. If you haven't seen my Bible before, this is my Bible. I got it in jail from a guy named Shane who really opened my heart to the ways of the Lord, and he gave me this Bible, and my mom made this cover for it. Just don't worry, you know, I shouldn't say don't worry, but no, this isn't the original cover. There is a cover under there. My mom made this book cover for me. Looks like leather. It's not. My mom's just crafty. That's paper. That's paper. And that cross I bought from Walmart. It's in the automotive section. You go back there, you can get these crosses. I have one in my car, and I have one on my Bible. Lynn Latour, good morning. Good morning. Thank you guys for being here. Throw me up some hearts, guys, as we start today's topic. We're going to talk about the parable of the sower, which is Matthew 13:1. And then we're going to move on from that. We're going to jump over to Matthew 14:22, which is Jesus walking on water. And I'm going to go through them and explain a little bit as I go through what I'm talking about and how I understand this. I'm not trying to put my ideals in you guys' heads. I'm just trying to go through how I understand my higher power. Some people say my understanding of it has helped them understand theirs a little better, you know, and get a little closer to God. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So I like to do it every once in a while. And especially with churches closed down and not as many people can get to church services, not many of us can get to meetings. That's why I love being a host of an online meeting of sorts here on Point of Change. And these moments that I get a chance to spread a good message from the Bible. So anyways, guys, this is Matthew 13:1, the parable of the sower. That same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat by the lake. Such a large crowd gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat in it while all the people stood on the shore. Now, I love that first example right there, and I've always thought about this, especially with me taking my day off the other day. So many of us out there, if you guys are out there trying to spread a good message, a message of hope, a message of inspiration, you're trying to reach people in any way, whether it be education, recovery, maybe you're a fitness coach, things like that. You're trying to reach people. And so many times we get overwhelmed by all the people that want our help, all of the people that come to us for help. If your business is starting to take off or things like that, you get a lot of people hitting you up. They really want your business. They want to be clients of yours, whatever it is. Sometimes we get so caught up in making sure we're there for every single message, making sure we're there for every single person all the time. And here you have Jesus himself, who, as the crowd got gathered around him, he got into a boat and floated away from them. Now, that's a good reminder for you guys out there that are trying to help people, that sometimes you do have to get yourself a little space between yourself and the people you're trying to help. Otherwise, to get yourself better suitable, put yourself in a better position to help them, because he's moving away from them so that he can be better seen by them, so he can be better heard by them, so he can see the crowd better, so that they're not overwhelming him or right up in his grill, you know. He's getting a little space between himself and them so that he can better help them. Then he told them many things in parables. Now, as you know, Jesus spoke in parables quite often. He often related things to normal life. He took messages from God, messages from an immortal thing, and he turned them into things that related to the mortal world. He does this constantly through the New Testament. So here's a really great parable for you. A farmer went out to sow his seeds. As he was scattering the seeds, some fell along the path and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow, but when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seeds fell on good soil where was produced a good crop, 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. Whoever has ears, let them hear. Now, when Jesus says these things, of course, those of us who have been looking through the lens of God, a lens of love and God goggles for a long time, we understand what we're hearing right away. The farmer that is sowing his seeds. Now, if you want, you can picture this in a little literal form. You can picture a a farmer actually walking around with a bag of seeds and, tossing seed around. I don't know if he's blind or what, but he's tossing seeds in the wrong places. He's tossing them on the trail. He's tossing them on rocky ground. He's tossing them among the thorns. So he's not getting them in the right places. So I don't know if this farmer's blind or if he just doesn't know what he's doing. But what I picture in this, and I think what most people picture in this and what Jesus meant by this, is the word of God is the seeds. The farmer is the person who's spreading a good message. Now, as the guy throws the seeds, some fell on, as he scattered the seeds, some fell along the path and the birds came and ate it up. That is those of you who hear the word of God or hear the word of recovery in some cases, and you want it, but then other people come along and they tell you little things that go, the Bible's so stupid, and people at churches are so judgmental, or they tell you, oh, those meetings are such a drag, or come on, bro, you don't hang out with us anymore. They tell you those little things, and they take those seeds of God and those seeds of recovery that were supposed to grow there. They were supposed to grow in you. But these other people come along and they snag that message away from you, and then you stop believing and you go back to the way you were. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. That's those people out there that are unwilling to change. Those people out there who are not willing to accept that they have problems in their life. They are not willing to accept advice. They are not willing to take your words of encouragement. You're just spilling those words on a thing that doesn't even matter. It's not going to take root. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. They don't want your help. They don't take advice. They're a rocky place and your seeds are falling on them. It's okay. Some fell in rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow, but when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and they withered because they had no root. That's those of us who are not ready to accept advice. I guess I kind of explained it a little bit, but the ones that actually do bear a plant and then the sun scorches it up, those are the ones that want to make a change, but within your first 90 days, we've talked about this in the past, within the first 90 days, 9 out of 10 people who try to make a change in their life, within the first 90 days, they go back. They go back because they realize it's too hard to change, or, things happen in their life that disprove this change, that they don't, and they don't hold firm on their faith, and they go back to the old way. Happens too often. Other seed fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Now, the thorns are not actual thorns. The seed is the message that is falling on somebody who is still filled with anger, who is still filled with resentment. Those are the thorns. The thorns are going to choke out the message of hope and the message of recovery that's supposed to be taking root. Still, other seed fell on good soil where it produced a crop, 160 or 30 times what was sown. That's all of you who are making recovery work in your life. That's all of you who have taken this good message and put it into good works in your life and take this to the next level. You know what I mean? You're making this work for you and you're producing a crop. The crop that you're producing is all of the things that all of you have started in your recovery. For me, the crop is the point of change. It's my brother coming here to live with me. It's him getting his niece back. It's my beautiful girlfriend that I have. It's my car. It's my best friend, Ryan. Those are the beautiful fruits that are coming out of my life because I actually let this seed take hold and I actually have nurtured it and grown it into something amazing in my life. Today on Facebook, I've had some memories come up. Like 2 years ago today, I got my new apartment. I finally moved out of Ryan's house and I moved into my own place. And, everything that has happened in my life, some people say, oh, that's because you did this. That's because you did that. You got it easy because you did this. You got it easy because you did that. You know what? You're right. You're 100% right. I do have it easy because I did the things that I did that got me to the point where I am today, because I accepted the opportunities that came my way, because I turned down the negative chances that came in my life, because I blocked all those people from my past, because I made the proper steps to get to where I am today. You're damn right. Moving 4.5 hours away from my home made it easier on me. You're damn right it did. And I did that. I made that step. So it wasn't, you think it was easy for me to walk away originally? No, it was not easy. I had every thought in the world telling me to stay up north and stay there. I had unfinished business. Your dad's getting close to making his way out of this world. You should be here for him. You should be here for this person. You should be here for that person. Your mom lives up there. Everyone lives up there. Everything in my life was telling me not to move 4 hours away, but I did it. And that was just one thing that I did in my life that has created this awesome change in me. And I keep nurturing this change. Once those seeds took root and they start to grow into a plant, your job is not finished. Now you have to keep watering that plant. You have to keep growing this dream. Okay. So I hope that was explained out good enough. I hope you guys kind of understood the parable. And the reason why I explained that parable out is because the next story here that we're going to go to is Jesus walking on the water. Now, and the reason I told you a parable first is I want to get your mind activated to thinking about parables and thinking about things that are saying one thing but actually meaning another. I want to get you in that mindset of thinking that, because as we move on to Jesus walking on water, we're going to have to really look at this as a metaphor. Because when I tell you guys that every single person watching this video right now, every single person who will in the future, every single person, all of you, we think of God and Jesus, we think that Jesus had huge special powers, which he did because he was closer to God than the rest of us. He was the actual Spirit of God. He was the Word of God incarnate in his life. So a lot of the things he was able to do, we are not able to do. But I can tell you this, that Jesus himself said that those who believe in him will do even greater things than he has. And I'm telling you that because every single person that's watching this, all of you have the ability to walk on water. And I know you do because you have been for a long time. And it may not, I'm not trying to say really that you've been, walking on a lake right now. I'm trying to say that with all the trouble in the world, with all the trouble in your lives, with all the chaos that you guys have overcome, you are literally walking on the water in your life. You are walking over top of the storm. And I love this story because it gives us such a great example of that. So we are in Matthew 14:22. Jesus walks on the water. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. Now there's another example of Jesus going away by himself, going off by himself to refill his cup. You know what I mean? He's going away, and we've talked about this in the past, and going by yourself. And I've told you guys in the past with your mental illnesses, when your anxiety's kicking in, when your depression's kicking in, do I tell you guys go by a bunch of people? No, the advice I always give you is to go find a quiet place, go find a calming place, go in your room, lock the door, go in the bathroom if you have to, sit by yourself and just center yourself again. Come back to where you are, find where you are, and that's exactly what Jesus does so many times. He makes such a good example of that. Now, where it says right in the beginning, immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat. He didn't ask them to get into the boat. He didn't direct them. He didn't suggest that they should go in the boat. He made them get in the boat and go ahead to the other side. And it's important that we remember that in just a little bit. Later that night, he was there alone. So Jesus is up on the mountainside, and the boat was already a considerable distance from the land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. So the wind is blowing from where Jesus is. It's blowing down the mountainside and out onto this lake, and it's blowing waves and pushing this boat farther and farther away from the shore. Just before dawn, shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. And I think right there, what is it? When I think about the dawn, it always makes me think of, it's always darkest before the dawn. That old cliche, that we tell each other in recovery, that we tell each other all the time, that it's always darkest before the dawn. Now, this is shortly before the dawn. So it's right in the darkest part of the night, or in other words, in a parable sense, it's right in the darkest time of your life. It's right in the point of change. It's right at your rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. So in other words, Jesus walking on top of all of this terribleness. A storm in the Bible, when we hear about a storm in the Bible, it refers to not so much a physical storm. It's a metaphor for a time in your life that was troubling, a time in your life that was hard to get through, that caused an uproar. You know what I mean? So when Jesus walks on the water to them, he's walking on top of all of that nonsense in their life. Everything that's going on in their life, he's walking right over top of it, not walking through it, not pushing through that hell, not trying to get to you. He's on top of it walking. And as we said, Jesus was up on a mountain. He's up on a mountain looking down on this lake. His disciples are in a boat out on the lake that he made them get into. He made them get into this boat. Now, Jesus is all-knowing. Jesus is the Son of God. Jesus is the Son of Man. He knows that there's going to be a storm tonight. He knows that the waves are going to come against this boat and push it away from the shore. He knows exactly everything that has happened. And now he's sitting up on the mountainside. He can clearly see this boat. He sees you. So just because you don't know that Jesus is watching when you're in that storm, when you're in that terribleness, when you're in the darkest just before the dawn, and you think that God isn't there, you think he can't see you, just because you can't see him doesn't mean he doesn't see exactly where you are. And a lot of times those troubles that we're going through in our lives, we don't realize it. We think, oh, the devil brought this on us. The devil brought this storm. Jesus made his disciples get into a boat so he could send them out into a storm. Jesus did that. The devil didn't do that. Satan didn't do that. He put them in that boat. He made them get in that boat and float out into this troubling waters. Now, shortly before the dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. Even his disciples, even the 12 men that had walked with him, were unsure of his powers yet. They were still unsure of Jesus. So if you're out there and you're doubting Jesus, maybe you're listening to this right now and you're like, I don't know, I have a hard time believing all this Jesus stuff and this Bible stuff. Even the guys that were right by his side had a hard time believing in all this stuff, guys. So you're right on the right path if you think that, believing in this stuff is hard. It was hard for the people to believe in it when they were seeing it. So for us to try and believe it 2,000 years after it happened, when we don't get direct contact with Jesus, we can't go out and find somebody and be like, hey, did you see it when Jesus was here? Nobody's seen this stuff happen anymore. So for us to question it, of course we do. Even the people who've seen it were questioning it. Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid." Now, Peter is he's Jesus's star pupil. He's like the best student that Jesus had. He's always got his hand up. He's always got another question. He's right there, right? And even him says, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water." Testing him. Still doesn't believe it, And Jesus says, "Come. That's all he says. One word. Come." And Peter got down out of the boat, walking on the water, and came towards Jesus. Now, when Jesus told Peter to get out of that boat, when he says, "Come," now, that's how I talk to my dog. You know what I mean? That's that one word thing. He doesn't explain to him. He doesn't give him direction. He doesn't say how he should step out of the boat. He doesn't give him one thing at a time. He just gives him a one word command. Come. That is all he tells him. Doesn't give him what's going to happen. Doesn't say, now just make sure when you put your first foot out that you do this, that you set it down properly. Just tells him to come. So when you're going through a time in your life and you wish God would tell you a little more, you wish you could have the steps were a little more laid out before you, you wish you could see it a little bit more, sometimes God doesn't give you that. He doesn't give you all that direction. He just needs you to trust him and walk that way and just go that way. So then Peter got down out of the boat and walked on the water and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." How many of us, when we first stepped out into recovery, how many of you, when you first stepped into this waters, when you first stepped out of that safety of that boat, the safety, the comfort of our old life when we were surrounded by that chaos, how many of us, when we stepped out into recovery, after a week or two, got real freaking scared, or maybe even right away, the whole time you were scared, you were scared to step out into this life of recovery. And here's everybody in the recovery world. Here's your family, here's your friends, here's everybody telling you, just go, you got to go to detox, you got to go to rehab, you got to do this, and you're scared to do it. The same thing is happening right here with Peter. He doesn't say, "Come, Peter," and Peter doesn't, jump out of the boat. "All right, I totally believe you, Lord. Awesome." Step out and just walk like crazy and run across the water. No, Peter was scared. He didn't know if he should trust you. He still was kind of worried that this is a ghost, that this isn't Jesus talking to him. He still doesn't know exactly what to think here. So he's stepping out and he's very cautious, stepping out, gets his first foot planted. And here's the crazy thing about this whole story. Do you think that Peter by himself, without Jesus, without believing in the Lord, without having any kind of faith, do you think Peter could have stepped out and stepped on top of the water? No. He himself as a mortal man could not have done that. So how is he stepping on the water when he steps out? He's stepping out, and Jesus, who's literally put him out into this storm, made him get in the boat, sent him out into this storm. Now he's in the middle of this storm, and Jesus tells him to step out of the boat, knowing full well that this mortal man in this boat does not have the power to suspend himself above the water. So who is making him do that? Jesus is making the water hold him up. He's defying buoyancy right now. Jesus is giving him the strength to do that. So when God tells you to do something in your life, you might be thinking, I can't do that. There's no way I can do that. That's not possible for me to do, but you're getting this calling to start something. You're getting this calling to make the next step in your life. You're getting this calling to do the unknown, to do the scary thing. And God is telling you to do this, step away from the drugs, step away from that abusive relationship, step away from that job that's not serving you anymore, step away from it. And you're scared. You don't want to take that first step. The thing is, God's the one giving you the power to do the thing he's asking you to do. Yes, you don't have the power right now, but when you take that first step, God will be there with you, and he will be the one to give you the power to walk on the water. So you can't trust him. He's not giving you the power right now until you literally put your foot on that water, and God is right there to catch you before you go under. Now he starts to sink and says, Lord, save me. So many of us have done that. God, I can't make it. I can't do this another day. I can't do it. I need you, Lord. Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. You of little faith, he said. Why do you doubt me? Or why did you doubt? He said. Now, as humans, we are fallible, and we are going to doubt ourselves. We are going to worry. We are going to have anxiety. We are going to stress, but God sees all of that. He wishes we wouldn't, as he says many times in the Bible, of ye of little faith. You know, he always talks about us with having our little faith and wishing we would stop worrying and stop questioning everything and stop doubting. I know you look around yourself, like Peter looked around and saw the wind and it made him scared, and then he started to sink. I know you're going to look around yourself and you're going to see a lot of nonsense going on when you step out into recovery. You're going to look back at your old friends that are still doing this stuff. You're going to look at all this toxic nature that's in your own life, all this stuff that's going on, and it can get scary. It can really freak you out, and you can start to sink back into that life of addiction. So just make sure you keep your eyes upward. Make sure you keep faith that this is going to work. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever you're doing in your recovery, whatever you're doing to better your life, just hold faith that it's going to work, and just keep doing it. Even when people tell you you can't make it, even when people tell you it's not right, even when people tell you you're going to fail and you're a waste of space and you're a lost cause, or they still hold you to those old standards and think that you're still that old person, don't lose faith that this is going to work, that your life is going to get better through recovery, that getting away from the drugs, getting away from the toxicity, starting to work on yourself, owning up for your bullshit past. Sorry, Lord, I know. Owning all of that and stepping into this new life, it can be scary, but just hold strong to that faith. Now here it is. Let's see. And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, truly you are the Son of God. I think that's something that always drove Jesus a little nuts, was that people always waited until they seen a miracle before they believed in him. And I think that's so many of our stories too. It took me seeing a miracle before I found God. And so many of you probably had the same experience before you found your religion, your higher power, whatever it is that you believe in, that he made some point to you. He proved something in your life. He turned some negative into a positive for you. He did something to open the eyes of your heart. You know what I mean? But those who believe without seeing, some people out there don't even know they believe in God. They just, they're kind of like me. Like I used to be so agnostic, but I didn't realize that God was working in my life even when I didn't believe in him. And there's some people out there that make an amazing life for themselves, and they don't even realize, they don't attribute it to God because they don't even know that he's right there. So some of you are probably at that point where you're like, yeah, I don't really believe in a higher power, but whatever, this one time I did walk away from a car accident, or this one time, something happened in my life that I can't really explain it. I don't know how those things all happen that way, but it happened. But I don't really know, don't really believe in God. You don't really see it happening, but it straight up is. It's right in your face sometimes, and we don't even recognize it. Now, I want you guys to know, out of all of this, I want you guys to know, how many of us explained our addictions, explained the life that we used to live. We explained it as we were drowning. How many of you had that thought? Have you ever thought that, man, I'm drowning in these drugs, I'm drowning in this chaos, I'm drowning in this pain? So I think every one of us watching this video can relate to this story of somebody walking on water and coming out and saving us from that pain. You know, maybe it wasn't Jesus, maybe Jesus wasn't the man to walk out on that water for you, maybe it was somebody else. But for me, it was Ryan. Walked onto the water, came right up north into the storm, and took my hand and walked me out of it. You know, and so many of you might have a sponsor or a person in your family who was that person who caught you and taught you how to walk on water. Don't stray too far from them. And the reason I say that is because of this passage right here. When Peter started to fall back into the water, immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. Now, if Peter hadn't been close to Jesus in that moment, if Peter had been, you know, if Jesus hadn't been right there, if Peter hadn't been that close to Jesus when he started to fall back in, Jesus wouldn't have been able to catch him, you know? So keep those people that have saved you, keep them close, keep them within arm's reach. Because when you start to sink back in, when you start to get scared of this life, and that can happen at any time in your recovery, I don't care if you're 10 years down the road, things can get shaky, things can get scary. And we need to have that person that we can reach out to and have them catch us before we go sinking back into that life. So make sure you keep your sponsor close. Make sure you keep whoever it is for you that keeps you clean, whoever it is for you that keeps you walking on water, keep them close. They're giving you that strength. They're giving you that power to walk on this water right now. And I don't want to see you go back under. It's okay to get your shoes wet a little bit. You know, as I said in the beginning of this video, this disease goes through times of remission and it goes through times of progression. You're going to have times where those thoughts are right there. You're going to have times where you're on the edge of relapse. You're going to have times where it's easy. You're going to have times where you're walking through this life so easy. But then there's other times where it gets harder and it gets to be a struggle. So just remember to keep those people close so that in those times when you start to sink back in, you can reach out and they can pull you back up and you can keep walking on this water with us, guys, because it is beautiful up here. I'm telling you, it's beautiful up here. Let me check some of these comments. Oh, and a quick reminder again, guys, later today, 6 p.m. Central, Shanda Lynn's going to be here to share her story of addiction recovery and her music and her poetry with us as we continue the Music of Recovery month here on The Point of Change. Greta Lane, in my second month of recovery, God proved to me he is there. He rattled my cage so bad that I had no choice but to believe. He works in such mysterious ways. He definitely does. I agree 100%, Brett. He didn't reveal himself to me, or I shouldn't say he didn't reveal himself to me. He was there the whole time. I didn't recognize that he was there, just like in the story we just read. When God showed up, they thought he was a ghost. They were scared of him. They didn't know who he was. They didn't recognize that that was Jesus walking on the water. They, freaked him out. And same thing happens in our lives. We don't recognize that that is Jesus and that is God doing these things for us. We just fluff it off as coincidence or whatever. I have had too many coincidences in my life to ever question it again, to ever think that it's just a coincidence ever again. Like for any little thing, I don't see it as a coincidence anymore, because for too long in my life, I just figured that, it's just a coincidence, whatever, things just happen to line up that way, coolio. Now I see it for what it really is. I see that there are powers in this world that we do not understand. There are things happening in your own lives, things happening around you right now in another realm that you don't totally understand. You can't see the powers that are there. Let's see. Amber, I thought I was drowning. I was at my breaking point. I was outside of a church. I said, God, I don't know if you're real, but please, please help me. He did, yes. At first, getting in recovery, I didn't like it. I was scared. Exactly. Beautiful, Amber. That's beautiful. That is just, you hit the nail on the head right there, dear. Brett Elaine, God protected my son through my screams, through prayer. Almost lost him to a bad reaction to an acid trip. I was 2 months clean and asked for a sign to help me have God and have faith in him. And in that night, I got the call. My son was in the ER, throwing up, urinating everywhere, stomach pumped, sedated, and arrested. God woke me up at that exact moment. Right on, Brett. That is, so many of those things happen for us in our lives. And the way I found God, I'll tell you guys my personal story of how I found God. It was right after my dad passed away. My dad passed away. I went to his funeral. I was on the way home from his funeral, driving the 4 hours back here, and I got pulled over for a cracked windshield, and I went to jail on a probation hold. Now, I never wanted to go to jail again. I'm in recovery. I'm over a year meth free. I'm doing really good. You know, my dad just passed away, and I get taken to jail. Now, as you can imagine, every bad thought in my head was hitting me. It was such a blessing. It really was such a blessing to be taken to jail right at that moment, because as you guys know, I suffer with depression, anxiety, ADHD, suicidal thoughts through most of my life. And when you've suffered with all that, drug addiction on top of that too, when you've suffered with all those things for years like I have, when a family member that's that close to you passes away, that's a real scary time. You know, everybody else in my family and my life was real freaking scared for me. And I was kind of unaware of the dangers, I guess you could say. I didn't really think that much into it of what would happen. And I was on my way back. I didn't have any thoughts to go home and kill myself at the time. I didn't have any thoughts of, you know, depression or anxiety wasn't kicking, but I was very numb after leaving my dad's funeral and on my way back. And who knows, if I wouldn't have went to that jail cell, if I wouldn't have got pulled over on my way home and went to jail, who knows what I would have done. You know, I could have got home, I could have went back out, I could have got drugs, I could have killed myself, I could have hurt myself, I could have done many things. But God stepped in and had me sent in jail, had me sit 2 weeks in a jail cell. And when I went to that jail cell, it was right in the heart of meth country, of Wisconsin. Anyways, I don't mean, you know, I mean, I'm sure there's places in the world or whatever where there's more meth, but right in the heart of hardcore meth territory. And I go to jail. And I go to jail with a bunch of guys who are in there for meth charges, who are in there for criminal activity, you know, coinciding with what I was doing at the time. A bad place to be for a guy in my place. But just so happened that in that jail cell full of meth addicts and, you know, people that were still very active in their addiction, there happened to be a group of guys that had started a Bible study. Every single night, they would get around this table and they would just talk about God and about life and about what they were doing on the outside and how they wanted to change their ways. And they would get together and they would read the Bible and they would pray for each other. And I remember, like, the first night I was there, I got to my bunk and I'm like, you know what, I'm not leaving my bunk, because I can hear everybody in this cell is talking about meth. They're talking about heroin. They're just talking about drugs. You know, I literally remember I was laying on my bunk with my blanket over my head trying to block everything out, and I could hear the guys under my bunk talking, and one of them was like, yeah, dude, I can hit myself right here all the time. They're talking about where they would shoot up, you know, and the one guy was like, you could throw a needle from across the room and hit me in this spot, bro. Like, I can hit here every single time. And I'm like, oh God, like, I don't want to, I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to be here. No, I'm just going to shut down. I'm going to keep my blanket over my head for however long I'm here, and I ain't coming out. And then that night, right before lights out, I hear a guy talking over top of all them voices. All them voices talk about drugs and gang-related activities and criminal activity. All them guys talk about that, and I hear this guy just yelling over it. Not yelling, but I mean, he was preaching. He was getting into the Bible. He was getting into the Word. And what I hear out of it is positivity. I hear, you know, at the time I was very agnostic. I didn't have a higher power yet. Didn't know what to believe. But I hear this guy talking, preaching the Word of God, and he's preaching love, and he's preaching light, and he's preaching that you can do this, that, you know, that there is something better. And it was positive. Out of all this negativity, I didn't even care that it was about God and Jesus, because I still was, like I said, I was still a non-believer, didn't really want to listen to that stuff, but it was positive. It was something different than everything else that was going on around me in this cell. So I decided to get up out of my bunk and go over and join in. And I went over and I joined in and I told them a little bit about myself, that I was a recovering meth addict, that my dad had just passed away. And so many of them other guys had the same story going on with being a meth addict or being a, you know, criminal and all this. And they really embraced me. They really pulled me in. They were like, oh man, you know, to be here, to have to grieve here, this is just nuts, you know. And one guy, Shane, he was the guy that was running the Bible study. And he he really connected with me on a lot of levels. And I started to hang around Shane like pretty much every day I was there. I was hanging out with Shane. And but I was doing my normal thing, just being me. I was friends with everybody, as always. And Shane came to me one night, we were sitting there talking, and he says, Matt, what do you do on the outside? Where do you work? And I told him that I was working on a paint line, that I was the load lead on a paint line. Pretty proud of myself for having that load lead position. And he was like, have you ever done anything like worked with people at all? And I told him about, when I was a teenager, I used to work at McDonald's and stuff like that. And I loved working the front counter. I loved being around people. I loved doing, customer service kind of stuff. And he said, I've been watching you since you got here. And every person that comes through that door, it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they're a 17-year-old kid picking up their first charge out of high school and they're just doing an overnighter. You're over there, hey buddy, how you doing? What are you in here for? Talking to them and welcoming them to the jail. He said, and same thing, if a guy comes in here covered head to toe in tattoos, coming in for his 17th felony, you're over there right away. Hey, how's it going, buddy? What you up to? What are you in for? Talking to them, and they like you. He said, it doesn't matter who they are, they like you. Like, that's something that can't be learned from a book. And he told me to start using that God-given gift, that ability to reach people, that ability to connect with people that you have. He said, start putting that into use in your life and see what happens. Take your life to the next level. Start pursuing a career with that. Build something with those God-given gifts that you were given. So he really built me up to start believing in God and to start what I did here at the Point of Change. But I mean, that was just one small piece that fell into place to make me start what I did at the Point of Change. Before I left, I got this Bible from him. And I got transferred to a different jail. I got transferred down here because while I was in there, I missed court down here. So I had to be transferred down here to see the judge here. And what I was told was that I was going to come in, I was going to get it was for my probation violation. I was going to come in, they were going to slap me with a signature bond. I'd be back out and I'd be back to work, and wouldn't be back to work because I lost my job while I was in jail, but I'd be back out and I could start over again, Now I get transferred, I get up to the jail up here, and I come in, and I brought, pretty much the only thing I had with me was, some stuff that I had in my pockets and everything, and this Bible that Shane had given me that I took with me. And they wouldn't let me bring my Bible in the holding cell with me when I got up here. And I thought that was really weird that they wouldn't let me bring it, but couldn't you just go through the pages, check it out, and then let me have it, whatever? They wouldn't let me do that. They said they would give me a different Bible. They'd give me a loaner Bible, but I couldn't take my Bible in the cell with me. I was like, all right, cool, all right. Well, nothing from the outside can come in there with you. So I got this loaner Bible that they sent me in the cell with. Now, the guards are telling me, the jailers are telling me, everybody in the cell up in the last jail I was in is telling me, you're going to get down there, you're going to go see the judge, they're going to give you a signature bond, they're going to let you back out, and you'll just keep going, And that's what everybody's telling me. So I go to see the judge, and I'm on a monitor. I'm in a tiny little room. I'm not in the courthouse. I'm in a tiny little room in the jail, and they have a screen in there, and you just kind of are on a television in the jail and in the courthouse. And the judge doesn't even look at me. Doesn't even look at the screen. Doesn't even look at me. She just looks at the fact that I'm on probation for some pretty horrible things. I have a pretty damn sordid past. Here I am missing court again, and I'm not only missing court, I'm missing court because I was in jail in another county. It doesn't look good. You know what I'm saying? So she doesn't give me a signature bond. She hits me with $1,000 cash bond. And I'm like, everything in me got me so mad because this is what I've been praying for, right? This is what I've been demanding from God since I started praying. I've been praying every day since I met Shane, praying, reading the Bible, going to a Bible study every single day, stepping way outside of my comfort zone for an agnostic guy. I'm actually putting some work into being a believer. And in the Bible, it tells us that if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, that you can move mountains. So if I have just a little bit of tiny little itty bitty little bit of faith, I can move a mountain, right? So in the 2 weeks in jail cell, which, back then I was still so set in instant gratification. If I wasn't getting my moral dessert real quick, I was abandoning ship. You know what I mean? So here it is. I've been praying for 2 weeks, which to me back then felt like forever. It felt like, that's 2 weeks. That's a long time, So I had been praying every day. I'd been reading the Bible every day. I've been attending a Bible study every day for 2 weeks. I'm thinking, I deserve something. I deserve some credit back here, Lord. I deserve something good to happen to me. So I've been praying for a signature bond from this judge. That was my big prayer, was please God grant me a signature bond from this judge. And I get there and I don't get the signature bond that I've been praying for 2 weeks for. I get a hit with $1,000 cash bond that pretty sure I couldn't afford it. You know what I mean? At the moment, I was pretty sure I couldn't afford it. So I go back to my jail cell and I'm super pissed. I was so pissed off. I come back in there and I'm screaming at my Bible. I'm literally just yelling at God, and throwing shit around myself, smacking the Bible they gave me, that loaner Bible. I threw it across the jail cell, grabbed it, ripped some pages out. I'd open it, shred some of the pages. I'd open it to a page, spit on it, close it, open it to another page, spit on it, close it, threw it against the wall again, just, screaming at God. Here I am praying to you for 2 weeks. You tell me if I have faith the size of a mustard seed, I can move mountains, but you can't grant me a signature bond from a judge. What kind of God are you? Just screaming, letting him have it, pissed off. And the guard comes and opens my cell and he's like, Matt, we need you to calm down. We're having court in the next room over. All we can hear is you yelling. Like, you got to stop. He said, as soon as court's done, I'm going to come here. I know he was very sympathetic because he was one of the guards that was telling me I was going to get a sig bond and get out. And now here I'm not getting a sig bond. I got $1,000 cash bond. So he's like, dude, I know it's crap. I know it's crap, but let me finish up court. I'll come back in here. I'll get you out. We'll bring you out. You'll make some phone calls. We'll figure this out, okay? Just take a breather. Just calm down. And I'm like, all right, man. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll calm down. And I sat down on my bunk and I just kind of waited for court to finish out. And then they finally finished court. And he comes in and he opens my door and he's like, yeah, man, that really sucks. I was really banking on you getting a sig bond and getting out of here, bro. But, let's make some calls. Do you have anybody you can call? And I was like, well, let's just call my bank because I'm pretty sure I have pretty close to $1,000 on there. Let me call my card, figure out what I have on there. I'm pretty sure I can pay this and get myself out. So I called my card and I don't remember exactly what I had, but I had like $980 some, like almost $1,000 in my bank account. I had to borrow like $20 from Ryan. So I'm like, all right, so let's go ahead. Let's charge the $986, was it, whatever it is. I was like, let's charge that on my card. I'll have Ryan bring $20 over and get me out of here. And he's like, all right, sounds great. So he runs my card, puts me back in the holding cell while he runs my card. And I'm in there and I'm like, yeah, I got a hold of Ryan. Ryan was like, yeah, I'll bring $20 over, no problem. So I go back to my cell and I'm just chilling there waiting for him. And he comes over and he knocks on the door and he's like, Matt, we got a problem. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? What's the problem? He's like, well, I ran the card for $986. You had $986 in your account. The jail tacked on an extra 10% charge for using a card. So it overdrafted your card. So, it didn't work. And I was like, all right, okay. I said, so here's what we do. We figure this out. We figure out the math. We figure out how much I have to give you, plus the 10% on there, get it worked out to whatever the number is, plus 10% equals the $986 in my account. And we run it as that. And then, that'll work. And then I'll get a little more from Ryan or whatever to pay off the difference. And he's like, that's a great idea. That's what we could do. He says, but I overdrafted your account. So there's a hold on your account. So your money is frozen for 3 days. Yeah, I got so mad. I got so mad again. I'm like, oh my God, what the heck? No freaking way, dude. Of course they're going to find a way to keep me here. And I started to feel like God was working against me. I started to feel like maybe I do need to stay here. Maybe God's trying to keep me in here and protect me from something, and I'm not supposed to be getting out. Maybe that's what the problem is. But I was determined. I was like, you know what? No, I don't even believe in God anymore. I shouldn't have been praying to him in the first place. I'm getting out of here. He's trying to keep me in here now. I'm getting out of here. So I kept working on it. So I call up Ryan and I'm like, Ryan, I said, hey man, they freaking overdrafted my account. So now I don't need, 20 or 30 bucks. I need you to bring $1,000 to bail me out, figuring he's going to say no, that there's no way he's going to be able to do that. But Ryan was more pissed off than I was. He's like, man, they can't do that. That sucks. Every time somebody's supposed to get out of jail, they screw you over and they try to find a way to keep you there. I'm getting the $1,000 and I'm coming to get you out. And I'm like, awesome, coming to get me. Now, Then Ryan showed up like 20 minutes later, had the money, got me out, and I was out. Now, it's funny, but in that exact moment when they opened the jail cell and they let me out, all of a sudden, everything hit me. Everything hit me that this wasn't God trying to keep me in this cell. This was God putting me through a test to make sure that this is what I really wanted, that I really was ready to get out of this cell, that I really was going to put in the work, because he needed me to prove that. He wasn't going to give me this beautiful life that I have today if I couldn't prove that tiny little measure back then. So it was more like, it wasn't like, here, I'm just going to put these barriers up to stop you. It was, I'm going to see how bad you actually want this, Matt. Okay, so you're going to pray to me, huh? That's because that was the promise I made. I'm going to keep praying. I'm going to go to church. If you can get me out of here, God, I will go to church. I will turn my life around and I will give my life to you, you know? And so here he was kind of testing me on that, you know? He's like, okay, what if I can't get you the signature bond? What if I can't get that for you? What if you got to pay $1,000 cash bond? Then are you still willing to put in the work? Do you still want out of this jail cell? Do you still want to believe in me? And I said, yes, I do. If you give me that, you know, okay, I'll try to pay the $1,000 myself. I will spend every dollar I have to get myself out of this jail cell if that's what it takes. And God said, okay, that's great. But what if I freeze your account? What if you can't do that now? What if now you have to borrow this money from somebody else? And I said, all right. I didn't even know it. I thought I was defying him, but I didn't know it. But my answer to that was, yes, God, I will. If you freeze my account, I still want out of this cell. You know, what if you have to call your best friend and ask him for money that you don't really want to borrow from him? Are you still going to try and get out of this cell? And I said, yes, Lord, I still want out of this cell. And I kept pushing through every test he gave me to get myself out of that cell. And I walked out of there with this newfound passion, this newfound glory for God. And I realized in the moment, as soon as I walked out of that cell and they gave me this Bible back, I realized that God had been watching me the whole time, because that was the reason they gave me the loaner Bible. God knew I was going to be having my faith tested in this cell. He knew that he was going to push me to the point where I didn't even believe in him anymore. He knew that I was going to destroy whatever Bible that I went in there for me. And he also knew that 3.5, the years later, that this Bible was going to mean like a whole bunch more to me, and that I was going to want this, and that this was going to go to every freaking church service that I attend, and this was going to go to every speaking engagement I have, and this was going to come with me everywhere I go. He knew how important this Bible was going to be to me. So he gave me a loaner Bible, because he knew I was going to destroy that one in that cell. And it was like, boom, boom. My eyes opened up. I came back home. I joined the church down the street from me. I started attending church every Sunday. Oh, Maddie, do you want to know how many times I've heard you tell me this? Pam, I will tell you this 16,486 more times, as long as you keep following me, young lady, because there are people out there who have not heard me tell them this. And they need to hear it too. Everyone needs to hear it. So if you come to more than one of my videos, you're probably going to hear me tell you the same story again. I'll tell you, because once in a while I repeat the same message that I've told before, but that's because there's somebody out there that needed this message today. There's somebody out there that ain't heard this yet. And if you have heard it before, then you needed to hear it again. If you came here and you heard it again, that's exactly what needed to happen. Maybe it needed to be driven home a little bit more. Maybe you needed to have your faith refreshed a little bit. Maybe you needed to hear my story of how I found the Lord one more time, so that he can prove his existence to you. Maybe that's what's going on. So I will tell this story all the time, Pam, all the time. Keep watching. You'll hear it again. Don't worry. I know you're kidding, Pam. I know, but I'm telling you, I ain't kidding. Brett, kid calling, gotta go. Have a blessed, beautiful day, everyone. Oh, bye, Brett. Love you. Let's see, Jessica, God locked you behind bars so you would be safe. Blessings in disguise. Exactly, Jessica. Exactly. Bri, I lost hope and tried to commit suicide and found a man that led me to God. I thank God for that man every day. Awesome, Bri. Awesome. I'm glad you're still thanking God for it. Keep the things that are beautiful in your life, keep praying for them and keep them in your life, because God will take from you. Here, let me find that passage real quick. It's right there. I just had it, and then I walked away from it. Oh, man, I tell you. Oh, my God brought me right to the page where it was. Look at that. Okay, 13, right after the parable of the sower that I read earlier. The disciples came to him and asked, "Why do you speak to people in parables?" He replied, "Because the knowledge of the secrets of kingdom of heaven have been given to you, but not to them. Whoever has been given more, and whoever has will be given more. And if, I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. Whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them." Now, it doesn't mean that if you have things that, if you have things in your life, just owning things, that you will be given more. What he means by whoever has will be given more is whoever appreciates what they have. Because I've talked to you guys about this in the past of how do we have things? How do we practice having? What's the difference between practicing wanting and practicing having? Those of you who constantly want more, you want more. I want a new car. I want a new job. I want a new girlfriend. I want this. What we learn by doing that is we learn how to want more. So instead, yes, you'll get those things eventually if you really truly want them and you really truly work for them. Yes, you will get those things, but they won't be enough to satisfy you because you'll want more, because the whole time while you wanted all those things, that's what you were practicing doing. I want more. How do we practice having? Is by appreciating what you already have in your life. And when you appreciate what you already have in your life, you will be given more. And I can promise you that. When you appreciate, even if you don't have much, if you only have one shoe, thank God that you have that one shoe. You know what I mean? And then maybe you'll get a second one because he'll see that you are good with the things you have. You appreciate them. You keep them in good quality. You upkeep them. And then you will be given more. So whoever has will be given more. And they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, in other words, whoever does not appreciate the things that they have, even what they have will be taken away from them. This is why I speak to them in parables. Though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand. In them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. You will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. For this people's heart has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them. I think that's beautiful. How many times in your life did you see and not understand what you were seeing? Just like I said before, how many of us were saved by God and didn't even understand that it was God, or seen a coincidence that happened in our lives and things that just lined up and we were like, it's just a coincidence, and blew it off, B. Clark, love you, brother. All the days I've watched you, I've never heard this. I love hearing about your moments of surrender. Right on, brother. Thank you for being here. Thank you for getting a good message out of me. Love it. Linzer, yes, was my first time. Damn right, Linzer. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming back. If you came back for day 2, hopefully you'll come back for day 3. It's awesome getting to know you guys. I love it. I love it. Amber, I love hearing this. I needed to hear it. Right on, Amber. Right on. Brandy, my daughter wants to go to the park, so heading out. Thank you for the great message. Right on, Brandy. Enjoy your day at the park. Pam, Amber, Maddie is amazing. I'm a kidder. Been following him for a couple of years and love him and mess around with him. It's okay, Pam. Don't worry. Michael McNeil, amen. I'm so glad I was able to grab this live. God bless Maddie and everyone here today. Much love and supporting coming from East Coast, Canada, my brother to the north. Thank you for being here, Mr. McNeil. Amber tried to commit suicide 5 times. Each time I was so close to death. But of course, something else happened. I'm okay. I started to believe, well, God clearly doesn't want me dead. Damn right, Amber. He definitely doesn't. You still have more business to attend to here on Earth. That's for damn sure, Let's see. Right, I already got there. Awesome. Good. I kept up with the comments pretty well. Thank you guys for all the comments, all the likes, all the loves, all the shares. Linzer says, I'll be here. Pinky swear. Right on. I will be here too. Hopefully you guys will be back later this afternoon at 6 p.m. Central. Come on by and meet Chanda Lynn, guys. She's actually really down to earth, really cool. She does have a lot of social anxiety and stuff, so we're going to keep it upbeat. We're going to keep it happy. We're going to keep laughing. I want you guys to be here with all the hearts in the world for this woman. Come on by and make her feel welcome. right here on the Point of Change. It's going to be a good interview. I've never got her on the page before. I've met Chanda twice now, and this will be her first time coming on the Point of Change. So make sure we make her feel welcome, guys. I love you guys so much. I'm going to let you go. I will see you all later this afternoon at 6 p.m. Central. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay clean.